I apologize for the quality of these slides. I'm not very high tech. They looked real good on my cell phone until we put them on that, what do you call that, zip drive? But anyway, just bear with me. I'm Willie German. I'm from Somerville, Tennessee. Somerville's about 45 miles northeast of here in Fayette County. You're in Shelby County now, so we're the county adjoining Shelby to the east. A little too close for comfort a lot of time. But this past year we had 4,600 acres of soybeans and 1,900 acres of corn, 1,500 acres of cotton. We still grow cotton, still hanging in there with it. 900 acres of grain sorghum, and we do a little contract growing for Pigweed Foods. They're headquartered just north of us in Bells, Tennessee, and we grew 450 acres of Crowder peas for them. And farm in an area called Fayette Corners. It shows I farm in 3 counties, but where my shop is in 2 counties. It's 3 counties come together: Haywood, Hardeman, and Fayette all come together there. A little history: I grew up on a farm. My daddy never did farm much. We had hogs, cattle, and he was a substitute mail carrier. And most crops we ever had was when I was a senior in high school. I think we had 400 acres, most we ever had. And when I got ready to go off to University of Tennessee at Martin, first weekend I came home, that quarter of the hogs were gone. And by the time that first quarter was over with, he had decided to let his rented land go and had gotten a full-time mail route and kept his cows. So when I came home in 1977 from Martin, I pretty well started from scratch with 150 acres of land that nobody else really wanted to rent at that time. Me and Jerry was talking in the hall a while ago, Jerry Reeves, though. It probably was a blessing we kind of got started when things were bad. Because at least when it got really bad in the early 80s, I really wasn't a big enough farmer and I learned a lot of lessons like we all fixing to learn again during these tight times. But anyway, we've been very fortunate. We just finished our 39th crop, and I say we because now Jeff is on the left. No, yeah, that'd be y'all's left. He's 32. He graduated from the University of Memphis down here in business, and he's been on the farm ever since he got out of college. The middle boy is my baby. That's Jacob. He's 22, and this is his first crop with us. My oldest son is still working for the company that bought me out in the equipment business. All right, down to business. My topic they gave me, or we decided on, was aggressive weed control begins with preventative measures. So I'm going to talk about my Palmer pigweed control in soybean. Now, I'm not that good at shooting doves. I like to try shooting them, ducks, but I'm not that good at shooting them. But I guarantee you my percentages are better at killing doves than they are at killing pigweeds that have already come up. I'll just tell you, we got to keep them below the ground. Our West Tennessee soils, I'm sure folks that's not from around here that driving through, you probably saw how rolling our land is. Small fields. That's just I stepped out of the truck last week. That's just a field that had grain sorghum on it last fall with just natural winter cover coming up on it. Only thing that's been run over it's a diamond hair just to break the milo stalks up and let them be decomposing. But we have terraces and waterways, and we want to keep our ground covered through the winter. I know a lot of y'all are blessed. It's got these flat fields and can burn down in the fall and keep it clean all winter and not have any soil erosion. But in West Tennessee, we just have to, we try not to burn it down actually more than 30 days before we want to plant. So let's say for soybeans, the earliest we'd plant soybeans here would be about April the 15th. So I'm not going to start a burn down on a soybean field until about the middle of March. And what we're going to use when we burn down is Roundup at 32 ounces, 8 to 10 ounces of dicamba. That's for mare's tail. I notice that's misspelled too. Mare's tail, A-L-E. and Valor at 1 ounce or either lead off at 1 ounce. Mainly the Valor's in there just to keep it cleaner a little longer in case we happen to be more than 30 days when we come to no-till that field or minimum till it. Now reading that slide there, that's the old way we used to get by doing it. You remember when we used to plant a field, not put any pre out. Might rain for a month, but it didn't matter. You can go back out there with a shot of Roundup and clean it up. If you got a field today, nowadays, it looks like it doesn't matter what you're going to do to that field from here on out, it will not be 100% pigweed free, at least not in our part of the world. So we can't let that happen. We got to keep the pigweed below the ground. Now at planting, I really feel like this is probably the most important thing, is to get a good start. At planting, we got to make sure that anything's on that field that we're going to get rid of at planting. And I actually like to run the sprayer after the field has been planted. Of course, you all know using Gramoxone, we've got to make sure we get it sprayed before the beans come up. So we're not set up with our big planters to spray as we go. We feel like we lose a lot of time filling up and everything. But that would be the ideal way. But we usually have the big sprayer sitting there, and just as soon as they finish a farm, they come in and spray it. Every once in a while get caught by a rain or something, but usually you got 3 or 4 days before the beans come up. But that's what we want to do. We're not going to cut that Gramoxone rate. We're going to use that full 40 ounces. We're going to use plenty of water. And then we're going to have Intimidator in it. And all Intimidator is a pre-mix of Deal, Reflex, and Syncor. And out of that 40 ounces, you're getting 17.6 ounces of Deal, approximately 13.6 ounces of Reflex, and about 5 ounces of Metribuzin.
Who makes that?
CPS. That's a CPS product. Of course, I'm sure you could buy it and blend it yourself, but that runs, in case anybody wants to know, that's about a $24 deal, the Gramoxone plus the Intimidator. But that will keep that field clean for 29 days. Now, we don't wait 29 days. I assure you, we don't wait, because you know what happens if you try to wait 29 days and go out there and spray. Well, here come a 10-day rain, or a sprayer broke down, or something. So really, in about 14 to 21 days, we're going back over that field. 14 to 21 days. And this is, we use 24 ounces, well, another shot around it if need be. Most time it needs to be. And 24 ounces of warrant. Now you say, well, warrant, the label rate of that is 48 ounces. And that's correct. Warrant is a form of Deal, a little slower acting. Acetochlor, I think, is a chemical name for it. And the way we got started doing this was in our cotton several years ago. Label rate's 48 ounces. That's before we had any Liberty Link cotton. We wanted to get away from the hoods. And using 48 ounces of warrant, it was banging our cotton up. I mean, you know, cotton's tender when it's young, and the ground's cool and usually wet, and we put 48 ounces. It do a great job as far as holding everything back, but we felt like it was holding our cotton back. Now, I'm not telling you it was hurting our yield or not, but we didn't like the way it looked. And we come up with the idea, well, let's put half of that out. Let's put 24 ounces out and see how it looks then. Well, that took that leaf burn and all out of the cotton. And then we just came back a couple weeks later with our second shot of warrant at another 24 ounces. Well, it's worked so good in our cotton that that's what we do now in our soybean. All my cotton last year was Liberty Link cotton. I mean, we like those varieties. We don't like buying Liberty. I mean, it's a great product, no residual, kill what's there, but you got new pigweeds out our way the next afternoon. But we didn't buy 1 gallon of Liberty last year. Now, that may not be the case next year. We do have that. You know, we can use it if that doesn't work. I'm just telling you what we've done the last 2 or 3 years, and this is our program, and we're real happy with it so far. Again, on that first shot of warrant, it would probably last 21 days, but we don't wait 21 days. 2 weeks, we're coming back. And then that second shot of warrant ought to be good for another 21 days. But by then you've got, let's say you just do the minimum. Let's say you sprayed your intimidator the day you planted and you waited 14 days to come with your first shot of warrant. All right, then you wait 14 more days to come with your second shot of warrant. Well, that's 42 days. That's 42 days that you can keep that field clean with any kind of growing conditions at all. That field, that's a field that last summer that was sprayed the second time with warrant, and you see our beans are in 20-inch rows, and in 42 to 50 days, we've got ground cover. So when we have ground cover like that, we're not going to have any pigweed coming back up. And then you say, uh-oh. Well, things do happen. Forget to charge the boom up good at the end after coming out of a different crop, or somebody didn't tell them about the field behind the hedgerow. So you are around a terrace or a center pivot or whatever, and if you have some escapes, then what we use is prefix, 32 ounces an acre, which is 16 ounces of reflex, 16 ounces of deal. But please remember, you're not going to get 100% of them. You're not going to get 100% of them. It's just kind of like the dove hunting. You're going to hit and miss. You may even have a few floaters, but it's not going to be 100%. We got to keep them below the ground. One thing I do like about this program, when we've had that picture was taken this year, a field of sorghum. We had not grown any sorghum since '95. When I had soybeans in that patch last year, I had no idea it'd have grain sorghum in it in 15. Well, y'all all know what happened over the fall and winter with the bases on the milo. They ran it up. Corn price didn't go up. Some of those marginal small fields and all that doesn't have irrigation, we decided that's the reason we put sorghum back in the mix. We were able to contract it at a good price. But I didn't have to worry about what I had put on that field, because with the warrant and the reflex and all that earlier the year before, we didn't have to worry about crop rotation. Another thing, by the time you put that second spraying of warrant out, your beans have got a good bit of size on them by that time. And by then you can tell whether you're going to need some micronutrients out there or some boron, or I have had to make an insecticide spraying along that time for grasshoppers or whatever, and you can piggyback that. So then it's not really like making an extra trip. Just kind of a recap. I'm just going to read it. This is just kind of a take-home message. Palmer pigweed has plagued the Delta and Mid-South for the better part of a decade. While there are many other broadleaf and grass weed species that have resistant issues, pigweed remains our #1 target as far as weed resistance is concerned. In spite of the uphill battle, we at German Farms, and give credit where credit is due, in conjunction with CPS and Mr. Craig Massey, put together this program as a solid multi-mode of action herbicide program. So if you follow this program, stay on schedule, get a few rains to get some of it activated at a good time. You be in the buggy tractor there waiting for the combines to unload, and just see the dust coming out the back and no weeds wrapped around the reels of the combines. Are there any questions? I figured there'd be some questions on price. Go.
Do you have any PPO resistant pigweed?
No, we rotate. I have not seen it was using the warrant. I'm sure we can't use just classic and things like we used to on them. But as far as being resistant to the warrant or as a pre-emerge, I have not seen it. I'm sure we have it after it emerged. Yes, sir.
You're not having any carryover issues with the reflex?
Not putting out that early in the year and at that rate. See, it's one but 17, what was 16 point something ounces in the 13. We have not had any. We sure have not. Even with wheat, we normally have wheat. We didn't plant any wheat this past year, just the price. I just didn't see that we could grow any wheat this fall, but I have not seen any. Anybody else want to answer that because I hadn't seen it. Now, it may be the difference in our soil types or whatever. Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I came in a little late. So your program is Intimidator followed by 2 shots of Roundup and Warrant.
That's right.
What's your rate of Intimidator?
40 ounces. 40 ounces. Let me back up so you'll have it again on the, I guess I can back this thing up. There it is. It's 17.6 ounces of deal, 13.6 of reflex, 5 ounces of metribuzin. That's at planting. And like I said, if you don't do anything else out there and you get a rain to activate it, that field will stay clean about 29 days. But we don't wait that long. And then that's what we come back 2 weeks later. Sometimes on that second shot of Warrant, we won't have the Roundup in it. I figured there'd be some questions of prices, so I went ahead and wrote them down. Intimidator at 40 ounces, about $15 an acre. Warrant at 48 ounces, which is a full double rate, 2 half rate, is $10.30 an acre, so $5.15 each time. So if you count my burn down at 15, the Gramoxone and Intimidator at planting at $23.40, Roundup and the Warrant $10.30, Roundup again and the Warrant $10.30. Like I said, a lot of times we don't use the Roundup all 3 times, but even if I did, that's $59. Say $60. What's that? 3 sprayings of Liberty? No residual with Liberty. I mean, we don't grow any Liberty beans, but like I said, we do grow Liberty cotton. But we hadn't had to spray any Liberty in the last several years. I've seen it spray. It's a good product. And I don't know why, if you're in a Liberty program, why you couldn't use this and still have that option if some of them did get by to, mix some Liberty in instead of maybe the Roundup. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
That Liberty and Warrant, if you don't like burnt beans.
What's that?
Be a little careful on that Liberty and Warrant, if you don't want.
Yeah, that probably would be a little hot on that one shot. Now the Warrant's not as bad as straight deal, because I saw some guys use some straight deal this year with their Warrant on their cotton, and supposedly that shouldn't have been any different.
Yeah.
But it did not hurt that cotton, but it looked terrible for about 10 days. Yes, ma'am.
So with your 20-inch rows in this program, have you ever had to resort to manual hoeing?
No. Around the terraces sometimes, around the field, the roadside ditches, but no, not out in the field. Now, out in the field, as long as that sprayer didn't miss a spot. It isn't very hard to find out where they miss a spot. Like I said, a lot of times when we clean our sprayers out to go to a different chemical or a different crop, a 100-foot boom, with a line on it that big, all the filters and everything, it probably takes 50 gallons to charge that boom up to get and a lot of times when they start out it right by the road where everybody can see, that first pass, a lot of times, yeah, we'll have to do some hand hoeing, but generally speaking, we don't even budget any money for that now. Well, I think our next speaker, and we'll have some time for questions at the end again. Go ahead.
For your Warrant, do you normally try to time it right before the rain? I know it takes a lot of dry land. Or have you had any problems with not getting activated at all?
That's one good thing, about dew. It lays there. Remember the old advertisement, 21 days, longer lasting dew? Wait on the rain. Now, we all know it's better if it's raining. But now we try to stay on that schedule. I mean, if I was just farming a few acres and knew I could get it done in a day, and they were predicting rain, none for the next week, then yeah, maybe so. But we pretty well try to stay on that 2-week schedule, because trying to stay on the 14 days, a lot of times we are closer to that 21 days for different reasons. We'll have time for some more questions. Bob?